You're about to learn everything that I know about B2B cold email, covering from simply buying, setting up accounts, to what tool, to what scripts, how to get leads. We will be going over everything that I know that has helped myself and my clients book thousands of qualified sales calls with their dream prospects. And if you do not know who I am, I'm Alex Woung, and I'm the founder of Dulce, and we help B2B service-based businesses get more sales opportunities through cold outbound outreach. Today, I'm exposing my entire process for cold email, teaching you everything that I know from A to Z. Without further ado, let's just get right into the video. Please, guys, also, this is going to be a little bit of a long video. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up going on 2 to 3 hours. Get popcorn. Do what you need to do. Also, this document will be in the description down below. Please make sure to boot it up, throw it on another monitor or phone or something and follow along with me. But let's not waste time. I'm going to be going over everything that we will be covering in today's video. First up, we're going to be going over the cold email infrastructure, right? Your sending accounts, your emails, your inboxes, why you should use public or why you should use private infrastructure, what are account resellers, what is the clinical nature of these email service providers, types of email accounts. Next up, we have our cold email sequencer, which is the sending tool that you'll be using. We're going to talk about instantly, Smartlead, Lemlist, Apollo, which one to use, when is the best, creating lead lists. We're going to go over introduction to what Apollo is, building the lead list directly on Apollo, building lead lists using external data sources, enriching data with Apollo, intent-based lead lists, the fallacy of verified Apollo leads, SMTP verification, catch-all verification, company name formatting with AI, and Waterfall enrichment. For the fourth one, we're going to go over split testing. What are some of the golden rules of A and B testing? Treating cold email campaigns like ads. Different factors to test during first campaigns. Segmenting and subsectors. We'll go over why segmenting matters. The subsector of an industry. Job title, headcount, hiring status, case studies. Then we're going to talk a little bit about personalization with AI and Clay, when to personalize your campaigns, introduction into relevant personalization, and how to personalize your campaigns. We're also going to be going over offers in your cold email, talk about campaign level offers, company level offers, testing different offers / call to actions, going over some of the Loom strategies that we use, direct to call strategies, lead magnets. We're going to have conversion focused script writing as a topic as well, going over script angles, unnecessary words, sell the result, not the service, make it easy to say yes to, how to not write cold emails. Then, big game changer as of recently, deliverability. We're going to go over DNS records, domain registers, don't buy accounts from registers, spam words, HTML content, spin tags, health scores, inbox placement tests, email sending tool, blacklists, account IP addresses, and account providers, right? All this factors into your deliverability. We're going to go over booking calls and objection handling, appointment setting rules, why you should never send scheduling links, building an objection sheet, utilizing virtual assistants. Then, last but not least, we have general marketing concepts. We'll go over product market fit, message market fit, and what is market sophistication. So, I guess let's just get right into the first topic. So, here will be a little video that you'll see this video in there. Cold email infrastructure, sending accounts, right? First things first, we're going to talk about the difference between public infrastructure and private infrastructure. So, public infrastructure, you're more than aware. I know you're smart. Companies like Google, Outlook, right? Those are your public ones. And you have private infrastructures like Mailscale and Superwave you've heard of. There's also plenty of other ones, but I know those are two of the ones that stand out the most. So public infrastructures are these large public companies, and they work by providing emails, but not specifically for cold outreach methods, right? Now, the private infrastructure is private small companies And they work by providing emails and set them up for the purpose of cold outreach. So, what are the pros and cons of some of these? Public infrastructures. Let's talk about the pros, right? They're always on, super reliable, servers will never crash, right? The day Google goes offline, I'll be very surprised, right? I'm not talking like a type of outage. And it will get you the best deliverability. That's the bottom line, right? Google trusts Google, Outlook trusts Outlook. There's no fugazi, no funny business going on. And then you could also diversify your email between providers, right? Have a little bit of Google, have a little Outlook, and do what you want to do. Now, here are the cons. They're more expensive, right? The base accounts. And we're going to talk about how to get those for cheaper. And it takes substantially longer to set up. They're obviously against cold emailing. Now, why are they longer to set up? Well, the whole thing with the DNS records and all that, we don't cover setting up accounts in this masterclass because we have a different method that we utilize at the moment that has been working really well, which we're going to go over. But essentially, you would have to, let's say, we start off all of our clients with 50 email accounts 50 domains and 100 email accounts. So that means we would have to go into each 50 domain and set this up every single time, each account, one by one by one by one. And again, they're against cold emailing. Private infrastructures. They're cheaper, substantially faster to set up. They do everything and set it up for you, and they build for you to do cold email. And the thing is, they're not reliable at all. At all. They could turn off any moment. You know, if you have all your campaigns running on Mailscale or Superwave, and they're just like, oh, your email accounts are gone. Your whole business is shut down, right? The servers could crash or stop working, and you have worse deliverability, right? Because it's from a third party. Now, if you're just getting into cold email or trying to set this up for your business, what should I use? As things change in a cold email world, going towards using a public infrastructure will always be the safer and better route. Always. We have dabbled with those in the past, and as of recently, it's just a big no-no, right? Don't even bother with it because, again, it's just not worth the risk. Again, even though it's a little bit more expensive depending on where you go, and I'm going to tell you in this section down below how we're going to differentiate that. It takes longer to set up, but it's definitely significantly better to have the safety and security. Now, here's how we're going to get those Google and Outlook accounts for significantly cheaper, and at sometimes same price as private infrastructure or better. This is the concept of account resellers, okay? So when setting up B2B cold outreach accounts, there's generally 3 main approaches for you to take, okay? Now, buying accounts directly from Google and Outlook, right? This is the traditional and most secure method, right? You're purchasing an account directly from the source, meaning it's fully legitimate and you have all control. Now, you can also buy the accounts from Google or Outlook accounts from the third-party resellers. And resellers purchase these accounts at a discounted price, often due to bulk purchases or special deals. And they sell them at a lower price, but it's still lower than the public rate, and they still make a profit from it. So these resellers provide a cost-effective alternative to buying directly. However, the quality and reliability of resellers can vary greatly. You're talking from maximum risk to zero risk. And we're going to go over how you can go ahead and figure out what works best. Then again, as we covered before, you could buy email accounts created by private infrastructure companies, and generally not recommended. As I said, it may seem cost effective at first. I know a lot of people sometimes when they start don't work with a big budget, but these accounts are often not secure or reliable, leading to deliverability and performance issues in the long run. Now, let's really talk about those account resellers. These are the 3 considerations you should have for purchasing from a reseller: the source of the account's IP location, and support quality. Now, when it comes to reselling email accounts, the method used to acquire them is absolutely crucial. And to get more into it, there's also 3 different primary ways that resellers can typically obtain those email accounts to sell back, right? Purchasing from lower income countries is the first one. So Google and Outlook offer region-specific pricing. So that means that countries with lower incomes can buy these products, including email accounts, at significantly cheaper rates. So for example, in companies like India or Pakistan, a Google account might only cost like $1.50 a month, right? However, using accounts from these regions pose a major issue. These email account IPs from countries like India and Pakistan have very poor reputation for deliverability and can drastically hurt your campaign. Now, becoming a certified Google partner or Microsoft solution partner is the second method. Now, using this, it is a much more reliable way to go, as partners often get better rates for email accounts. Typically, you'll see 40 to 50% cheaper than public pricing. Now, the only drawback is that the certified partners still faced price fixing guidelines, which makes this more expensive compared to the bulk deals. Okay, so sourcing through a direct representative. Some resellers have contacts at Google or Outlook, and that will allow you actually to buy these accounts in bulk. And these accounts usually come at a better rate than standard pricing, but are still subject to quality checks depending on the reseller. Now, let me go over these three and tell you which one you should use. First one is generally a poor choice, right? Purchasing from the lower income countries. While it might seem smart, ideally, like, oh, you're getting email accounts for $1.50, being that cheap, it just, the major issues that they come with those local IPs, right? Because that's where you're buying it from. And they're notoriously bad for email deliverability. Indian and Pakistani IPs are often flagged, meaning that email accounts sent from these, or emails sent from these accounts, are more likely to end up in spam folders, ultimately hurting your campaign's effectiveness, right? Especially, I mean, you're watching this for cold emails, so doing it at scale, sending thousands of emails, it's not going to work out well for you. Let's go over option 2. And this involves working with that Google or Microsoft partner, and it's that much more reliable option, right? However, again, even though these partners can offer these discounts of 40 to 50%, they're still restricted by a flooring on the price, right? It just, again, as much as a good deal they want to provide, you got to remember that at the end of the day, everything is business, and for a business to stay alive, you have to make profit, right? So you always got to take that into consideration. And essentially, that this makes the accounts more expensive than what you would get from the low-cost region, but the deliverability is still better, and the reliability often justify this cost. Now let's go over option 3. And this involves going through the reseller who buy the email accounts in bulk. Now, this route can be a completely hit or miss. Depending on the reseller, if you find a truly reliable one, you'll get email accounts that are affordable, high quality, and quickly set up for you. But if you pick the wrong reseller, you could be led down a path that you don't want to go down, of a lot of poor deliverability problems or bad support. Now, the reseller we use buys Google accounts directly from an official representative at Google. All of the email accounts are either based in US or Germany, which both are ideal for cold email campaigns due to their trusted IPs, which we'll go over more when we talk about deliverability on the IP side. But just a quick rundown, European IPs in particular are seen as more reputable because they have those stronger data protection regulations, which can boost your deliverability. So there's a link here to our reseller, Premium Inboxes. Richard, he's an amazing guy. He always helps out literally instantly whenever he can, and everything gets hooked up for you properly. So just for you guys as well, for being part of watching the video and channel, Alex15 will get you 15% off your first month with Premium Inboxes. So that's account resellers. See, moving on to now clinical nature of email service providers. Now, what this means is these email service providers like Google, Outlook, and so on operate in cycles, which means that this can greatly impact your cold email campaigns. So understanding these cycles is crucial for maintaining deliverability and avoiding email fatigue. So what I mean by that is, why do these ESPs have those cycles, right? Now, Google and Outlook are consistently evolving in platforms like that to fight against spam and ensure a positive experience for their users. They work in cycles to update filters, tighten security measures, and enforce compliance with their guidelines. Because you got to remember, theoretically, at the end of the day, that doing cold email isn't actually the most regulated thing. Or it is for B2B. You can do it. It's just Google and Outlook don't want you to, use it for malicious purposes, because that's what people are doing, right? Once you have something that's good, they abuse it, and then things change. So what do these cycles mean for cold emailing? This constant updating means that the strategies that worked for you today may not work in a few months. Your emails may start getting flagged as spam or face other deliverability issues, and ESPs are always looking for patterns that indicate spam-like behavior. So it's critical to remain compliant and adaptable to the circumstances. Now, why these deliverability fluctuates is because ESPs may suddenly trigger certain keywords or sending patterns as risky. This means that even if your cold emails had great deliverability one month, they might struggle the next, right? So it all depends. There's so many factors that play into it that we're going to go over, and you just got to make sure you're best protected. Take all the safe precautions, because the thing is, you're dealing with money accounts, yourself, clients. It's always better to take the safe route. I know I was told always better to be safe than sorry, and that's the same thing here, right? Slow and steady wins the race. Inbox placement. Now, just because an email gets delivered doesn't mean it lands in the inbox, right? A lot of people do have that misconception that just because an email reaches the endpoint that it's actually sitting there in the inbox waiting for the people to read it. ESP filters constantly adapt to users' behaviors, pushing more cold emails into the promotions or spam folders. You do not want to be there. It's simple. You're not dealing with a manual person checking it over. You're dealing with systems, right? And systems may flag you for the right or wrong reasons. I also have had personal accounts always go to spam, even though I never even used cold outreach for it. It just was regular emails. But it happens, You try your best to fix it, then move on and see what to do from there. Now, how do you stay on top of these ESP cycles? Monitor your sender reputation regularly, right? We use email inbox placement test tools like, for example, Email Guard, and we began testing all of ourselves and our clients bi-weekly to see if we're actually landing in the inbox or not. And you could do that from your sending tool. So always test your sending strategy as well. So, it's good to be diversified. So use different ESPs and test various settings to optimize deliverability and avoid being flagged. And, if ships changed, and don't be afraid to make the jump, right? Right now, as I'm recording this, Google is working better, but that doesn't mean that's always going to be the case, right? Outlook in the future could work better, and so on. Outlook was working better when I started getting into the reseller space come this year, right? That was the way to go. So you'll see how things go, and always be open, right? Be prepared to adapt your approach regularly. And based on the new updates, again, as I said today, Gmail might work better than Outlook, but that doesn't mean it'll be the same forever. So we're going to go over the different types of email accounts. You have different ones ranging from enterprise to education, nonprofit, and etc. And when sending cold emails, it's important to understand these different type of accounts that you're contacting, because it could come with different, spam filters, limitations, and levels of security, especially when it's on like a bigger corporate or a education level. So enterprise accounts, these are the business or company provided accounts, right? Like scale@dulce.io is ours for our business. Why do they matter? Because emails sent to enterprise accounts tend to go through more rigorous spam filters due to the company's firewalls and IT regulations, again, depending on the size. And when emailing B2B, the type of company also matters. So spam filters will be a lot harder to get by with a medical company than, let's say, a marketing agency. What to keep in mind is ensure that the email appears professional, relevant, as corporate filters can block anything that looks even remotely promotional. This all depends on their security levels, and again, they're managed by busy professionals, so you need to grab attention really quick. And that's it. It's very simple, in very regular words, don't send spam, and essentially make it relevant, right? Education accounts, these are provided by education institutions, for example, at university.edu. And why do they matter? Because edu addresses are very particularly hard to target, because they have dedicated webmasters with a high level of intent in blocking scams and other malicious actions targeted at their campus community, right? Because now you're dealing with a school, and they have a whole different ball game of security. So they also have the ability to block you on a whim, and minimal traffic will even just sort through in general. Even if you follow everything that's right, there's still a chance that you're not going to get through. And what to keep in mind is focus on how your offer even aligns with educational goals or how it helps the institution in some way. Be very, very to the point and be away from being salesy, because again, they have high spam triggers. So one wrong move and you can be done if that's who you're going after. And going on to nonprofit accounts, typically from organizations dedicated to social causes or charitable work, right? So these nonprofit accounts might actually have slightly less strict filters than corporate accounts, because recipients are often cautious about solicitations that don't align with the goal of the organization, right? Not a lot of people follow this route, so it's not going to be difficult at all. Just it depends if, again, you want it to resonate with them. Personal accounts. Now, these accounts are used by individuals for personal communication. I know, like Google, Yahoo, AOL, Gmail, anything. Why do they matter? Because cold emailing to B2C addresses is often ineffective and risky, because it could trigger their spam filters and violate several privacy regulations, right? Engagement's also critical. So even if it isn't illegal and for some foreseen circumstance, emails that don't resonate or provide value to individuals will quickly be filtered out, right? If you don't want to be cold emailing a bunch of B2C, because that is like theoretically illegal, or not theoretically, it's actually illegal. I say that only because, for example, real estate agents might use their personal email, and that's technically business, so there's a weird gray area there. But bottom line is, trying to inbox business on personal, and personal and business could be a little bit of a miscommunication compared to at least these other threes that I told you about, because they're all kind of business related, right? All right. Next one up we got is our cold email sequencer, right? So this is the sending tool that you'll be using to go ahead and effectively do your outreach at scale. So when it comes to sending cold emails, the tool you use actually really matters, right? Deliverability, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but the different tools are better for different goals. So we're going to talk about the breakdowns and the pros of cons of each of them. We'll be comparing Smartlead versus Instantly versus Lemlist and Apollo. These are some of the more popular ones. They're on the platform. Now let's go over Instantly, right? The pros: it is a super friendly platform, user friendly, right? They're friendly on it. Perfect for beginners or smaller campaigns, and it's very easy to set up without much hassle at all. And it is also a very stable platform, minimal glitches, solid performance, and fast load time, so you never have to deal with bugs like other tools and stuff that makes you want to pull your hair out. It also has unlimited warm-up, so while I'm not a huge fan of warm-up pools, if at the moment, if that's your thing, they offer it and you can fully customize it, but you can't randomize it like Smartlead, which we'll get in just a moment. Mobile app, easily. They have one of the best in the game for managing replies on the go, and you could stay on top of everything without being absolutely glued into your chair at your desktop. And they also have amazing customer support. So they solve issues fast, and I rarely ever hear complaints from people in this department of customer support. Now, the only cons is that it has a very weak API. If you're looking to scale or set up complex automations for your business, this is unfortunately not going to be the best tool for that. They lack the endpoints that you need to really allow you to automate efficiently. Also, price does get pretty expensive. Instantly is cheap for small operations, but once you start scaling, it gets pretty pricey fast. And unfortunately, it's not the best choice if you're running a lead gen agency or handling a high volume of clients. I mean, I'll quickly go over it. That the pricing here, you can see monthly, you have growth, hypergrowth, and light speed, capped out at 100,000 uploaded contacts and 500,000 emails monthly. So theoretically speaking, I'll just give you for reference, we start all of our clients out with pretty much 20 to 40,000 contact campaigns, right? So let's just say worst case 20,000. That means 5,000, five clients at a time with 10,000 uploaded contacts. So that doesn't make sense. Now, Smartlead, the pros is that it's really good for scaling. Smartlead is perfect if you have a big agency, because if you need a platform that handles high volumes, this is the one. And they got plans that far exceed instant leads, and you can go literally as high as you want. The API here is top tier, and it's one of the main reasons why we do use Smartlead is because this API allows you to automate a ton of tasks. This is crucial, when you're sending millions of emails. We literally have an automatic inbox placement test set up. We have automatic inbox manager to go ahead and see the different replies that come in at real time, literally real time. Cheaper than instantly, actually, especially when you're scaling. Smartlead tends to be a very more cost-effective option. And it also has an extremely active community as well. If you guys don't know, they have a Slack community, which is massive. There's so many people in there. And if you ever have questions or need anything, you just pop a question in there and it'll answer it. Here's the cons. It could be a little bit buggier than instantly. It can be slow, and uploading leads sometimes is frustrating. Sometimes you have a little bit of delays. It's not as polished. Now, the customer support is decent. It's just not as fast as instantly. And the mobile app isn't the best. It recently came out. It's kind of in like a beta phase. And if you rely on a mobile app for managing replies without like an inbox management system like we have, then the app sometimes won't get the job done. Just quick reference on this one's pricing. You'll see that monthly, right? You're going to have a basic plan, which is not the best, and you have the pro plan, which is comparable to Instantly is $97 a month plan, but you also get 5,000 more free leads here. Then your custom plan here starts at $174 a month, and it can go up to 12 million active leads, essentially. I'll literally check it out. I don't even know how much that is. Oh, 10 million. 10.2 million active leads for $24,000 a month if you wanted to. That's the thing. Like, for example, with 120,000 leads, 333 a month, and so on. And you could really customize on what you need for your business. Now, Lemlist. Pros, this is an all-in-one platform, right? So if you want to do different things like LinkedIn outreach or video notes, or I know they have landing pages and different things of that sort, that is perfect for all that. It has all that built in one tool. Now, the cons is it's extremely overpriced. It's way more expensive than it needs to be for cold email. You're paying for a bunch of features that I almost guarantee you'll never use. And it's just simply not the best for cold email because Lemlist tries to do too much. And it doesn't excel at cold email like other tools. It almost feels like one of those generalist type of things, right? It has LinkedIn, has this, has that, where Instantly a Smartlead is literally just for cold email. They're the specialists. Like, I'll even show you guys that Lemlist alone, they think sometimes this could be a good thing, but it's actually can be a bad thing, right? Here's their monthly plans. They have 5 different types. They have an Email Starter Pro, but these are just some of their features, right? Once you go down here, when you start comparing all these different features, right? I mean, some of them are kind of gassing it, like DMARC, DCAM, like, that's unnecessary. You have stuff like inbox rotation, A and B testing. You don't even get that on the starter plan. How do you not even have A and B testing? Cold calling, LinkedIn voice messages, voice finder, personalization, custom text, liquid syntax, integrations, APIs, Zapier, support. It's just, they try to do too much. And Apollo now is great for data. That's one of their pros. They're absolutely amazing for pulling leads, managing data. And if you need a lead database that's, like, again, an all-in-one type of platform with that, it's very solid. Cons, it's terrible for sending. Horrible. The deliverability is awful, and is absolutely just not optimized for email outreach. And it's a very expensive CRM, too. Their CRM feature is just thrown together, and not worth it if you're actually serious about running a business. You're better off than using a dedicated CRM tool. Final thoughts? Who should you go with? When should you use it? If you're just starting out or you're just running a very small campaign, go with Instantly. It's a very smooth, user-friendly, and easy-to-use platform. If you're scaling or running a lead generation agency, then Smartlead's 100% the way to go. It's what we use, and especially if you need advanced automation, that API alone makes it just worth it. So I just straight up would say for cold email outreach, avoid Lemlist and Apollo unless you really have specific use cases for them. At the end of the day, pick the tool that's best for you. and your business needs, but Instantly and Smartlead are going to be your best bets for cold email. All right, we're going to be going over our next sector, which is creating lead lists. So this is arguably one of the most important sectors in cold outreach. As in being a part of it, being the most important, it can also be the most difficult, and literally can choose whether your campaign is going to get good results or not. So if I say I can increase your revenue by 50% in 45 days for face and body care e-commerce brands, and if I were to send it to a bunch of different, weight loss e-com brands or whatever, it doesn't matter how good the offer is. And there's no exact way of building a list or just using one filter. I'm not going to tell you like this is the secret method to building a list. There's a lot more that goes into, and a lot of fine tuning and tweaking to making sure you have the most reliable, especially up to date contact decision maker information. Two ways of building this list. You can directly target the leads on Apollo, go on Apollo, build the list, and use different filters. Or you could use a niche specific database to identify companies and then enrich the data on Apollo, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. And again, for those who are unfamiliar, Apollo is a sales database that helps you find contact details for decision makers at various companies. Literally under 300 million different leads you could just get access to instantly. When you build this lead list, there's so many different sources and filters, so it will literally, every list you build will most likely be different. Not every single one, but majority of them, especially if you're a lead gen agency. Introduction to Apollo. This is kind of what you're first presented with, right? You'll go through here, and it's one of the top tools in cold email to build your lead list. With its vast databases I just mentioned, under 300 million leads, it allows you to search for the decision makers you want to target using multiple filters like industry, company size, location, and more. Apollo also offers those pre-verified email addresses, but there's a few things you want to keep in mind relying on these that some people might not know about. So we'll touch upon that a little bit later. Now, building your list directly on Apollo, there's going to be filters down the side like this, right? There's going to be email status, job titles, company, location, industry, keywords, employees. And when you build your list on Apollo, you could then use its database to pull the contact information. And the database, the interface is super easy to use. I literally can show you guys in a matter of seconds right now. Going on here, right, search. If I wanted to target, I don't know, what's something random? We'll just pick something through here. If I wanted to target, let's say, food and beverages, we want to go after coffee brands, community, include coffee in the U.S. with 1 to 10 employees. You could really bring that. Oh my gosh, you really could bring that up in a matter of seconds, right? Boom. 6.3 companies in the U.S. that have the keyword coffee who do food and beverages in the U.S. Right? People. We're gonna do job titles. Just for purposes, owner, founder, C-suite partner, VP. And that's 2.8 decision makers right here. And you can see these are all coffee brands, right? Fox and Coffee, Impresso Coffee, Orland's Coffee, Prevail Coffee, Vicious Coffee. And then you could just go ahead and access the email, right? Boom. Jennifer at chapincoffee.com. Just like that. Now, here's the downside. Let's scrape 10K leads, right? Let's just say customized credits, 10K per year. $500. That is not ideal at all. And that's the downside with Apollo. Getting that data is extremely expensive, and I know a lot of people pay for that, and it could add up very fast, especially if you're doing this at the scale that we do or scale that you do. Scraping this data from a third-party application can save you thousands of dollars by just going through a different source for literally the exact same data. And this is how you can go ahead and scrape that using that Apollo URL. So going back to that really quickly, I just want to show you guys something. That Apollo, the reason why this is all possible is because, for example, you see up here this link. It deals with your filters and settings. So you can see in here it says founder, person seniority, C-suite, person seniorities, partner. You can see it ends in head, right? If I get rid of head and go to the end, it's going to end in VP. So you can literally copy and paste this and scrape your exact filters and search at relative ease. And this is where we utilize a third-party tool called Export Apollo. And this is where you can actually go ahead and implement your link right here. Implement the link, name it something in the amount of contacts you want, and it'll scrape the exact same data for you. Link for it's right here. It's literally $3 to $4. It's $4.80 for like 1,000 leads. Again, it varies. Like the more you buy, the more it goes by credits, or you can just pay as you go. But for 10,000 credits, $48. At the more credits you buy, the cheaper it gets. There's definitely some other cheaper options out there, I'll be honest with you. However, Export Apollo is the best in my opinion because they allow you to scrape small lists for like segments and campaigns. You're not bound to like do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 all the time, right? You could do exactly like 2,548. They have API for programmatic scraping, so you could make an automation with it, which I'm in the process of building, that will allow you to like build lead lists automatically. And they have an optional integration with Million Verifier as well. So you can get credits as well to verify your email accounts, which we'll go over later. Automatic scraping and delivery. So it'll just do everything for you. Just give it the link and click the button scrape, as you can see right there at the bottom. And then you also get good customer support. While making your lead list directly on Apollo might seem to make the most sense, it's also not the best to target a specific type of company. So let's say if you wanted to get into a very specific e-commerce brand, building that on Apollo is very difficult. It's not possible, but it's very difficult. So when you're building lead lists using external sources, this involves identifying target companies on another platform, then importing that data to Apollo. I'll show you guys really quickly. When you come to here in companies, come here to company, you have this setting right here. It's called include list of companies, and you could go ahead and actually paste a list of companies to see if they're on Apollo. So that's how you can use external sources to filter by the decision makers by just pasting the list in there. And for this example, we're going to take makeup and cosmetic e-com brands. So Apollo does have some capabilities with their filters, but it won't be perfect. There's no straightforward filter or tag to identify whether a company is an e-commerce store. You could try keywords like buy now, add to cart, or online store, but it'll get really messy and just not meet what you're looking for. So if you utilize a platform like Storeleads, right? It's a database that has with 13, I think, million e-commerce leads. You can filter specifically by Shopify store and what you want. So there's a little setting there. Let's say you click Shopify, and Storeleads offers those precise filters, and you could really, really segment it using this platform. Then you could click here and see we'll do beauty and fitness. Then if you were to click face and body care, there will be another filter where you can click makeup and cosmetics. Now, using these filters, you could quickly identify in that search, it's 24,988 different makeup and cosmetic companies. For instance, we're going to utilize our Lead Academy scraper that can go ahead and take this data and scrape it in our private coaching program that has over 300 currently paying members. It will take that exact query that you gave it. Look, Shopify, that they're active, not password protected, category beauty fitness, subcategory face and body care, subcategory makeup and cosmetics. But the thing is, it doesn't give you the contact information. So that's where you enrich the data with Apollo. Just like I showed you before, you could implement these company URLs into Apollo and match them in the database with the associated contact by pasting it in that include list of companies. So for example, from 200 of those companies in there, or from the 200 companies you identified, Apollo can provide 11.8 thousand contacts working at those companies, right? Like, I know there's going to be a little bit big ones. You'll see like Jeffree Star Cosmetics. You'll see Rare Beauty. So obviously they're not all decision makers, but once you filter it down more, like I showed you with the management level, like owner, founder, C-suite, then you have your more defined list to go ahead and go after. Then at that point, you could add additional filters, like location. Let's say you only want to work in the US, or only companies with 2 to 25 employees, and so on. And you don't have to worry about if the leads are accurate because they're based on the exact filter that you gave it. And this is not just for e-commerce. So I'll show you some examples from our Lead Academy scrapers that our developers built out. But like just a quick example, like if you need SaaS leads, get Lock as a good source. Agency data, we have multiple sources like Clutch, Good Firms, Agency Vista. Local business data, there's Google My Business, Yellow Pages, publicly traded companies. You can even look at the NASDAQ. Companies running Facebook ads, you can use BuiltWith, right? And these are just what some of the different export export scrapers can do, and go ahead and give it to you almost instantly. So the key takeaway is that the more effective targeting strategies exist beyond just using Apollo to get the leads. Now, what is building an intent-based lead list? So another approach you could take is building an intent-based technology by using intent-based technology targeting. And instead of just going after cold leads, you actually can go ahead and get kind of warm leads, if you have the right targeting. And what you do is you target prospects who are already searching for a solution or have a high chance of an active need. This involves using tools like BuiltWith, as we're going to go over, to identify companies using specific technologies, allowing you to make educated assumptions. So for example, right, like a company using Shopify is most likely an e-commerce store, right? So same thing, like a website with a Facebook ads pixel is likely to be running ads. A website with both a Facebook ad pixel and Klaviyo is likely an e-commerce brand investing in advertising, making these assumptions, right? A company with 3 software engineers is likely focused on developing and scaling software solutions. A company who uses Ruby on the Rails likely values web application development and has a strong focus on backend systems. So, by thinking creatively, you can build highly targeted lead lists that match your ideal customer profile. Now, going over this one setting here. They have, and their people is email status likely to engage and verified. So you see this list is actually pretty decent, right? You have 9.1 thousand. I'm sorry, let's take back the management levels. So all of these specific roles, you have 2.8 thousand likely to engage and verified. Whoa, 789. We just lost 2,000 leads. Let's talk about that. So here's the reality, right? Data deteriorates over time. People leave companies, get promoted, changes roles, or sometimes a company itself goes out of business. And just because the email worked 6 months ago doesn't mean it'll work now. This is why these platforms that store these people's information like Apollo or Zoom Info consistently update their data, but even then, it's not 100% reliable. So, that's why it is important to further verify your leads by using a method of like SMTP or catch-all verification systems. So do not rely on the fact that Apollo claims the email is verified. So essentially, SMTP verification checks if an email is valid by by pinging the mail server. So that essentially means is it will send like a little signal over to that email account, ping it, and it'll come back as 3 different results. It will come back as verified, risky or catch-all, or not valid. So once it goes through this process, verified means that the email exists and it is good to send to. Now, if it's risky or catch-all, that essentially means that the domain is set up to accept any email, even if it doesn't exist, or just simply doesn't exist. So you're not 100% sure if it actually exists. If it's not valid, the email does not exist, straight up, and sending to it will result in a bounce. Now, the tricky thing here is that risky and catch-all category. Some domains use a catch-all setting, which means that even if you send to a non-existent email, the domain will route it to the primary inbox instead of bouncing it. I'll give you guys an example here. For example, Ted Brewers at coldemailmasterclass.io. If I were to email him and coldemailmasterclass.io does not have a catch-all setup, you'll receive a bounce, right? For example, I emailed it, and you'll see here that Ted Brewers at coldemailmasterclass.io because the domain could not be found, right? Or the address could not be found. Now, if you were to email, for example, tedbrewers@dulcemedia.com or dulce.io is now our rebrand, this email does not exist, right? There's nobody here called Ted Brewers. But we do have catch-all settings set up. So this email will still be received, right? Look, you can see I'm on my main email, info@dulcemedia, and I emailed to tedbrewers@dulcemedia.com, and I still received it in my inbox. Now, there's absolutely no problem with emailing a domain that has catch-all enabled. The problem with it is that there's just no way to determine if they actually have catch-all enabled or if it just actually doesn't exist. Because you could try any name at dulce.io right now. Email any name at dulce.io. Doesn't exist on the face of this planet unless it's my name. But I will still get it. And if you keep emailing accounts that don't exist, you're going to have a lot of bounces. It's going to be rough. Now, this is where tools like Million Verifier come into play. Because tools like this help verify those emails at scale, so you only send to those good addresses. Then you could further do it with a catch-all verification to go ahead and assess whether those catch-all/riskies are really good or just need to go in the garbage. There's also tools like a lot of people like to use List Clean, Never Bounce. This is not really like a sending tool type of thing where it's like Smartlead and Sleed. There's a ton of different verification tools that people use. I personally really like Million Verifier. It's a lot more cost effective and reliable. And also, we're going to be utilizing that API to automatically create those campaigns like I mentioned to you before. With catch-all verification, a catch-all domain accepts all emails that are sent to it, right? Even if it doesn't exist. We went over that. This makes it tricky to know whether a specific address exists. So, what do we do in this situation? Using a catch-all verification tool actually allows you to clean up the list and reduce the risk of sending to the non-existent addresses. So we utilize a tool called scrubby.io to verify catch-all addresses, and this verifies the risky emails and go ahead and does a different type of validation that's beyond the regular SMTP verifying. Now, this helps you avoid from sending to those bad emails that have a high bounce rate, and will also clean your list more in depth than need be. So you can see here, for example, we had this client who got leads, and most of his leads came back as risky. So we threw it in Scrubby to double verify it, and then you can see here, based on this result, out of 66 of them, 61 came back as valid. They were actually good to send to, and 5 of them were not. Now, with company name formatting with AI, this is very crucial, especially when you're scraping data, because you'll get a mishmash of company name formats. It's never really clean, and this inconsistency can make your personalization way off target and actually really sound spammy. I always tell people the same example, but it's funny because it's true. I always say, if I'm sitting down at a lunch with you and I'm talking about your business, I'm not going to say, how is Dulce Marketing LLC, right? Dulce Inc. Corporation, right? How is it doing? I would always just say, hey, how's your company Dulce doing? Or whatever the name may be. But when you scrape the data, it might come out like this, right? Dulce Marketing, Dulce LLC, Dulce in all capitals, Dulce lead generation. Using an AI tool, which we have put together that utilizes OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, you could format the company names to come out with the proper name. So you just go ahead in that Lead Academy private coaching program, which what we do for you, and just implement the file. And then it'll come back like this. It'll say your request to format company names have been completed. 3,589 company names formatted. And this one does cost a little bit because it utilizes OpenAI's API key, but 29 cents is not going to hurt anybody. And we just made one of these as well for job titles. Now, that waterfall enrichment process. This is the utilization of different SMTP verification and catch-all verification in an attempt to obtain/verify a prospect's email address by diving deeper. And using this process has actually allowed us to double or triple our lead list when we need to further verify. Now, just as I showed you before, remember how we had that lead list of 2.8 thousand on make our coffee decision maker, food and beverage owners? Then we put the verified likely to engage and it only brought us 789, missing out on 2,000 potential prospects / clients, right? How everybody else does it. You go on Apollo, you put those 2 on, push it in a million verifier, whatever your SMTP verification tool is. Take the goods, throw out the garbage, throw out the bad and riskies in the garbage. Now, if you have a huge TAM, that makes sense, right? This is effective if you have a large TAM between 50 and 100,000 different leads, because going through the enrichment process can become pricey quick. But if you have a more niche down target, or you need a very specific list of leads, this process can help tremendously. Let's say if you do local businesses in a certain type of area, then this type of waterfall enrichment helps wonders. So here's how we do it. We leave that off and we put it in 2 categories. It has an email or doesn't have an email. Okay, it has an email. Same thing as before. Put in million verifier, good, risky, bad. We already went over Scrubby. If it's risky, put in Scrubby. So what happens at this point? Well, Scrubby is going to say it's valid or invalid. Now, if Scrubby says that it's invalid, which means it fails to catch all, if million verifier said it was bad, or if it never had an email to exist in the first place, we would run it through these 3 tools right here to go ahead and try to come up with an email address. First tool is Prospeo. Second one is Drop Contact. Third one is Find Email. And what these tools do is they take your domain name, utilize your full name, and try to match it up with that account. So, for example, if you look up, let's just say Alexander Woung at dulce.io, you'll come back with a result of an email address. Now, my domain is a catch-all, so it is going to be routed as a risky email, but I'll show you an example from one of my clients. So the first 2 tools, Million Verifier and Scrubby, we already covered, and the other 3 are the ones I just mentioned. So this is how it works essentially. I didn't put in this email. I gave a name, I gave a website, clicked find email address, and it came out with his email, and it's marked valid for you to send to. And the other 2 tools do essentially the same thing. This just gives us all corners covered to be able to effectively generate leads. And the good thing that I love that we do this is because you're getting the leads that these agencies aren't doing this. They aren't going out there, and this is what you can use also to set yourself aside from other people. If you do lead generation, you can go ahead and target the people who aren't being targeted. Now, moving on to the next slide. All right, we got split testing. So, when you run your cold email campaigns, you have to always be testing. Even if you find something that works, test it, see if you can make it work better. So this is how you're going to find out what's working and what's not working effectively. If you don't know if something would work, nothing's better than actually trying it out. I remember when I first started, there was just so much time I used to spend overthinking, saying, is this going to work? Is that going to work? And I really adapted just trying it out to see if it would work, right? And that ultimately helped me get over that kind of overthinking process. And it's much better, and it should be a constant process to ensure you're getting always the best results. So here's ways that you can approach it. Golden rule of A/B testing. You should only test one variable at a time to understand exactly what's driving your response rate. The more factors you include into your test, it's just going to shape things up not properly, and then you're going to have unreliable results. Now, whether it's the subject line, call to action, or even something small like the opening sentence, by isolating these variables, you can get clear feedback on what works and what doesn't work. Now, treating your cold email campaigns like ads, for those who have ran ads before, I'm sure you're going to understand this. Testing cold email campaigns should be similar to how you would treat ad campaigns. You wouldn't run the same ad forever without testing different elements. And with the same rule literally applies to cold email. Cold outreach is dynamic and results can change depending on your audience, timing, and messaging tweaks. So, if you're doing something that works and you add something and it could double what's working, but you don't try it out, you're never going to know. Now, there's a bunch of different factors that you could test in cold email. Here's just a list of a bunch of different things you could test, such as like subject line, copy, CTA or offer. And outside of actually like the actual email, you can test, using warm up, not using warm up. You could test the amount of emails being sent today. You could test Google versus Outlook. You can test your different lead lists. Email sending providers like the same thing as Google and Outlook. So you could test multiple different factors and see which one comes into play, right? This really, yeah. Oh, sorry. Never mind. I'm joking. Email sending provider, right? If you're using like Smartlead, instantly test which one works better. Now, we're going on to segmentation / subsector. So when it comes to cold email, you can't just obviously blast the same message to an entire industry and expect insane results. So it's about hitting the right people in the industry with a personalized message, and here's essentially how we would break it down. Why segmenting matters. Segmenting lets you cut through that noise. You can focus your messaging based on the prospect's specific needs or pain points within their industry. For example, targeting a beauty brand and fitness that specializes in like skin and nail care requires a different approach that one focusing on makeup and cosmetics. Because think about it logically. If you were to sub-segment your campaign, let's say you're sending cold emails for a beauty and brand and fitness growth agency who helps scale those different type of businesses. So if you really niche down and targeted like skin and nail care, that's going to be a little bit different than makeup and cosmetics, right? Again, it's all going to be under the same branch. You know, you could almost maybe get away with that, but if you want to, you really can sub-niche it down, do sub-niche, and then go from there and figure out, okay, well, I noticed you're a skin and nail care salon, and just essentially tailor it to them, right? Maybe skin and nail care wants more like in-person appointments, where makeup and cosmetic wants more like e-commerce sales, right? That's just off the top of my head. Haven't personally done it, but for that type of niche. But that's why segmenting is different for each different type of campaign. Because customizing each message increases the chance of getting a response because you're speaking directly to what matters the most, right? It makes it feel that it was more meant for them and not just for every type of business. Now, subsector for industries, right? So even within a single industry, there are countless subgroups. For instance, in the e-commerce space, you have health and beauty, electronics, and fitness. Now, each subsector has different goals, challenges, and decision makers. So by crafting your email specifically for each subsector, you're referring to their unique pain points directly, making your outreach far more effective. That's basically what we just went over. Just saying that beyond e-commerce, you could just go ahead and do different type of SaaS companies, like AI-related SaaS companies. You can do different, like law firms, immigration law firms, and so on. And this is a little link to Smartlead, that platform I was telling you before with the e-commerce data. I was almost on the ball. 13.25 million active stores. Now, segmenting by job title is another crucial layer because a CEO and a marketing director within the same company are obviously both important, but they'll care about different things. And the CEO might be focused, let's say, more on the overall revenue and strategy and managing the entire business, while the marketing director is more focused on the campaigns and the growth metrics. So by tailoring your emails to address their specific concerns, you're increasing the likelihood of your positive response. Again, it depends on the niche, it depends on the campaign. But this is where we're going to get into the headcount and why that difference is going to be a lot bigger. Now, the size of the company matters when it comes to your cold email strategy, because let's say a startup with 10 employees is going to have significantly different needs than a company with over 1,000 employees. Now, headcount affects decision-making processes, budgets, urgency. You got to remember, right? The chances of you getting in contact with a CEO or founder of like 1,000+ employee company is going to be very, very hard compared to like 10 employees. Now, if you go after the director of marketing, head of marketing, that seems way more applicable. It's definitely possible. However, going after like head of marketing, a director of marketing of like a less than 5 employee type company wouldn't make the most sense. Might as well just throw CEO and founder in the bunch. A common question regarding filtering companies by revenue is not the most reliable for private companies, right? A lot of people always ask me, oh, well, we want to work with people who make between X amount and Y amount of dollars. And essentially they're private companies. I can't just look up, unfortunately, online and see, oh, okay, this company's making X amount of money. Like, if I were to look up Amazon's last earnings. But what we do is, depending again on the niche, we could go ahead and use like average employee count to an MMR type of guideline. So if it's a 1 to 10 employee company, we could assume you're making anywhere from $0 to $30,000 a month. Between 11 and 20 employees, you can probably assume that you're making between $30,000 and $100,000 a month. Between 21 and 50 employees, right, anywhere between that $100 and $1 million mark. And then 51 employees, you got that 1 million plus per month and on. And you could kind of use that again, just like a guideline to go by when it's not readily available information. And again, things change. Even if you do have a filter that says that, it might not be the most accurate. Hiring status. This is also a very important one for different type of targeting. When a company is actively hiring, it can or not can be also a game changer in cold email, right? So for example, one of my favorite ones is, if a company is hiring for a specific role, it might indicate expansion, new projects, or budget availability. Like if they're hiring sales managers or sales director, or sales team, something like that, you can assume, or they're hiring SDRs, you could go ahead and offer them depending on, your offer. Let's say one of our clients, we have an AI employee that can do your sales calls for you and stuff like that. So that's definitely a way you could target it. And you could leverage this by using AI with like Clay and ClayGent, which we'll go over, or different filters to craft messages that speak directly to their growth and say like, hey, I saw you were hiring. I think LinkedIn also, if you scrape off LinkedIn, it says if people are hiring, and help solve their new challenges, especially when you could get an idea of what phase they're going in, if they're hiring. Now, another thing too, which actually resonates really good, is case studies. So sometimes the best way to connect with a potential client is actually leveraging their own case studies. So by reviewing case studies or testimonials on their website, you can highlight where they've been most successful and frame your outreach, enhancing or scaling that success. And this shows also that you've done your homework on them and positions your offer as a way to build on what's already working for them. I remember I cold emailed this guy. He's like, listen, how you going to offer me blah, blah, blah. If you know nothing about me, I told him everything about him. He's like, okay, I'm impressed. Hop on a call with me, right? It's that simple. By leveraging this, you can also build those segments and subsectors based on who they work with previously. And that's actually something we do right now for our offer validations, because let's say you work with like 3 different sets of clients, right? Like lawyers, real estate agents, or e-commerce brands. And let's say real estate and lawyers, you've gotten exceptionally good results for. So why not just leverage what's already working for them and then try it out with cold email and see if it works from there. Now, with personalization, utilizing AI/Clay can be extremely helpful and also can be extremely damaging depending on how you use it. When it comes to segmenting and personalizing outreach, obviously nothing works better than the human brain does. You see a lot now would come up with AI, especially with ChatGPT and all these different video platforms and such, and everyone's trying to implement it into their business. But let me just show you this really quickly. Which one sounds better, AI or human? A example. Hey there, I noticed your fantastic work on Facebook ads for your power washing business around Tampa. It's impressive to see local businesses leveraging digital marketing to shine. I specialize in boosting local businesses like yours through targeted strategies that enhance your ad performance even further. Man, I'm going to fall asleep. If you're open to it, I'd love to share a few insights that could ramp up your results. How about a quick chat to explore some no-cost, high-impact tweaks? Let me know. Now, call to action's decent, but come on. Like, you and I just both know, especially nowadays, how many people try to use it to get by. You just kind of know. Now, for the B campaign, think about this. Hey, Mark, I'm also based in Tampa. Noticed you're running Facebook ads. It's a small world. I run a marketing company too. Would you mind if I shared some tips to enhance your ads, right? Put this together really quickly, but you could just tell, just kind of the half-assed one, the big difference with that and the AI generated one. And there you have it. The point is that the personalized outreach is to make the person receiving it feel special. That's the whole point of this. I always tell everybody that we want to write your cold email so it doesn't even seem like a cold email. And people would much rather work with a specialist than a generalist in any business. That's just the facts. So when you could personalize it like that, hey, we target specifically marketing and advertising agent, or specifically PR agencies. Let's get more specific. We've helped this other one scale, to 6 figures per month extra. Could we do the same for you? Right? Something like that. But rather than just coming off the bat and saying that you do just digital marketing, it's going to sound 10 times better. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg of personalization. We're going to dive in when you should personalize your campaigns. Now, personalizing email campaigns isn't something you do every time. It's more of a strategic tool when you need it. There's a lot of speculation that kind of goes around where people just say like, hey, you need to personalize to stand out and all these different type of factors. But the thing is, if you're putting the right offer in front of the right person at the right time, you don't need to throw all that different type of personalization at it, because again, it's going to take significantly longer and it's going to get a lot more messier than you want it to be. I'm definitely not saying it's a bad thing, not at all. It's definitely a really extremely good tool to have. However, you could really get by without it unless you're trying to really go after a very competitive niche. And if you have a smaller total addressable market and you need high precision, then as I said, personalization is key. Or again, if it's a very competitive type of industry. On the other hand, if you're doing large scale outreach, it may not always be worth it. For highly specialized industries or targeted campaigns, personalizing your message shows obviously you've done your homework, making it significantly easier to start a real conversation with your prospects. And I'm talking about personalizing them. I'm not talking about saying, oh, I saw you went to this college. I saw you blah, 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 blah. It's like, hey, I saw your ad on Facebook 2 days ago, or some variation of that. Notice you guys weren't on Amazon. I could help you get listed on there. Or I saw you were on the 6th page of Amazon. You're missing out 30% of your conversions by not being on the 1st or 2nd page. And no, you could be creative with it. Because the thing is with Clay and ClayGent, which we're going to get into right now, you could prompt it to do whatever you want. So if you really prompt it to dive in there and talk to it essentially like it's a 5-year-old, because if you don't really make it super specific, then you're not going to get good results. Another example that we used before is, hey, I found you guys on Clutch, and I saw you work with, X, Y, and Z case study that they had on their website. Leveraging the results you got for them in a cold email outreach, you could see an additional 2 clients a month, or, you guys kind of get the point where I'm getting at. So introduction, when we talk about this relevant personalization, again, as I said, we're not talking about adding in random details from LinkedIn. The goal is to tie the personalization to the business context, the whole point, right? No fluff, short, sweet, to the point, and if it needs to be there, add it. For example, mentioning a company's latest project or their use of specific software tools is much more impactful than simply referring to someone's graduation or hometown. It's about aligning your offer to what they're currently doing, and Clay makes this incredibly efficient by automating the research. And for those who aren't aware, I'm sorry, I keep mentioning Clay. Clay is a software that maximizes data coverage by having over 75 different enrichment tools, and that ClayGent, which is their AI agent that can scrape the internet and complete complex tasks. And this allows you to craft relevant outreach at scale. So how do you actually use it? Using tools in Clay, like the ClayGent AI scraper, you can scrape relevant data about a company and use it in your outreach. For example, Clay allows you to pull data directly from various sources like Storeleads or Apollo, and can even scrape case studies from your prospects' websites. And again, you prompt it. The possibilities are endless. You can set up a campaign that pulls case studies or testimonies from a company's site to utilize in your copy. And this is an example from like how we did down below. So you would select the model, right, like ChatGPT 4.0, and in this count, I have my OpenAPI key here, but I would add that and just say, hey, for the company domain, visit the website and find a case study, normally based on a section called testimonials or our work, or case studies return only the company name. If there's no company name, they're implied with no find. I just typed this up really quickly. But you would actually go there, sit down, prompt it, and really give it all the detail you need, again, to make sure it gives you the most accurate data. And you can see, for example, here's one of my clients' domains. Put in there case study search. It came back with cvmedia.inc. And we'll even go there right now. And you'll see somewhere on their website. Yeah, right here, look. Oh, shoot. Car Main Savvy CV Media Inc. And then you would utilize the AI company formatter tool to make it just CV Media. And there you go. You have a case study to now leverage in your outreach. So that's essentially how it works. Here's like that example I was telling you before. Hey Fred, notice Target OnStar worked with CV Media. Have you considered a similar approach to boost, whatever result they got for them for your team? And this makes it more hyper relevant by matching it to the recipient, and you're much more likely to get a response. All right, now let's talk about offers in cold email. So before you even start crafting your offers for cold outreach, there's a critical mindset shift that needs to happen, right? Actually, I'm going to add on a little bit to this, but people don't want to pay for your services. They just straight up don't. They don't care. They don't want to. They want to pay for the results that you get them. Now, one thing that really changed this for me was adapting this mindset. And on top of that was essentially saying, would I respond to this email? If you're looking at a big blocky text that you wrote and say, I definitely would ignore this, then you're going to have to change it. Right? You just got to logically think, would I respond to this? Then you could go from there. But people don't want to pay for services. I mean, if you're watching this to this point, then you're very invested in it. But for the most part, from completely changing the sales process from, telling people this is what we do, say like, listen, you briefly go over it. This is how it will look. This is how it would work without blowing your ear off of me talking. And this is what you're going to get from it. And that's what they care about, right? So if I say, all right, well, we charge $5,000 to set up a cold email system. We'll manage all your leads, inboxes, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't really sound appealing, right? But if I were to tell you, hey, we charge $5,000 to get you 50 more qualified booked meetings a month through cold email, that sounds like a deal, right? That's a good offer because, if your ticket size is, 2.5K and you have 50 meetings, which you're paying 5K for, all you got to do is just book or close 2 of them, right? So whether it's increasing revenue, generating leads, or boosting conversions, your offer needs to be about the end result. So when you shift from selling the service to selling the outcome, you move from being a absolute commodity to being a highly desirable provider. Now let's break down how the company level and campaign level offers and implement the right strategies for that, right? Company level offers. Using the same example I mentioned before, imagine you offer an AI employee solution for legal firms. Your offer is not to help you implement an AI assistant, not to automate your client follow-ups with AI, will not set up an AI employee to manage your calls within 3 months. They just don't care about that. They're going to care about what they're going to get from that, right? Let's say your offer is to never miss a call or to convert 2x more of your clients by following up with them, right? Or simply we'll help you onboard 30 new clients per month by using our AI employee to handle all your client intake and follow-ups within 6 months, guaranteed, or it's free. P.S. RJ Law saw an increase to 33 more clients per month by using our employee, right? That was very off the dome when I made it, but I'm just saying, you could see the major difference between selling your service or selling the result. And this focuses on the outcome, onboarding new clients through AI employee, making the offer tangible, and highlighting the measurable result they'll get from it. Meaning your offer is the result in a time period with the guarantee and the social proof. Because think about it, right? Anything you buy, this is kind of just basic marketing, but think of your car, right? Every car gets you from point A to point B. But why'd you pick it? Why'd you pick the Mercedes? Why'd you pick the BMW? Was it for the class? Was it for the feel, They were selling you the result of that car, not because of the functionality of how it works. When you're going to buy a car, right, the car salesman's not going to sit down and talk to you about why the engine works, right? They'll sell you the status, the result of owning that car. Agency level offers, also known as company level offers, essentially, not company level offers, campaign level offers. We just discussed the company level offers, right? Now let's focus on the agency level offers. The specific value your agency provides. In most industries, especially in the competitive niches like e-commerce, SaaS, and digital marketing, directly asking for a call or simply pitching your service to do so is tough to do. Why? Because most prospects have been burned before, they've seen it all, they get all the emails, and when your agency comes with the same service, same offer, same price, same results, it's a laughing stock, right? You're seen as a commodity. You're nothing new. And that's not where you want to be. And how do you want to stand out? It's simple. You want to build trust quickly by offering something upfront for free. And when you get into this type of position, this is the best way to get into the door. This establishes credibility and shows your prospect that you mean business and you're not just expecting them to buy with you through a couple words on the screen. Now let's take a real example, right? Imagine you run a cold email outreach agency for B2B companies. Your offer isn't just we help you send cold emails. Prospects hear that all the time. We want you to get you number one on Google, blah, blah, blah. Instead, you want to offer something of immediate value. Let's say a 5K free list, a free 5K lead list from their target market, custom built and ready to be contacted, or develop and implement a complete cold email system for them at no cost, or deliver a free high impact cold email campaign with personalized messaging designed to generate immediate conversions, right? Anything of that, right? You want to make sure that it's offering upfront value, positioning yourself as an expert, and it's actually tangible. Don't say, I'll take a $500 free call, to be with me because, yeah, that works. Something unique. That's all it is. And how it works is simple. Now let's imagine a SaaS company called TechGrow, and that agency example we just said is Dulcie, me. TechGrow is bombarded daily with offers from agencies promising to boost your sales. We could increase your sales 20-30% with this new method. They've seen it all, they've heard it all, and they ignore these messages. Now imagine Dulcie approaches TechGrow with a different offer. Pops up in their inbox, one-liner. Would it be okay if we built out TechGrow a list of 5,000 decision makers that are tailored to your ideal customer profile? It will include their name, email, mobile phone number, and everything else you need to book them in. That's it. P.S. You could add P.S. It is completely free, no strings attached. Dulcie does this, and TechGrow sees the value in leads. It's tangible. It actually exists. And the quality of the system. And they start to trust Dulcie. And as a result, TechGrow is far more likely to sign up for a call or a partnership knowing that we can deliver the results that they're looking for after you demonstrate it, right? And Dulcie wasn't just another random marketing agency pitching cold emails or to get you number one on Google or your SEO services. Like, nobody on earth wants SEO services. Straight up. Nobody on earth wants that. It's about the result that they can get from using that. And we proved our worth first by saying, listen, we could build leads. Here you go for free. No strings attached. Seriously, no strings attached. And people be like, oh, why do I work for free? Because, listen, would you spend, how much is 5K leads? Scrape like $24 to potentially achieve like a 2K client or whatever it is. Would you spend $24 to get a 2K client? That's just like a very basic, explanation of it. You could do ads or however you want to come up with your specific offer niche. But the point being is that you make yourself stand out by proving to them what it's worth first. A lot of people will also be like, what's the catch? You'll be like, listen, straight up, this is cold outreach. I don't know you don't know me, right? I don't word exactly like this, but the point I'm getting at is I am offering these leads as a way of value to prove that I can do what I do, and we have this call to where I could show you and explain it to you on exactly how we do it without expecting anything in return, and that also utilizes the law of reciprocity of, hey, this person gave me like 5K leads for free. I feel obligated to, kind of give back. Now, let's go over the different type of offers. We have demand capture. A demand capture is an offer is one that prospects will purchase only if they're already looking for it. Now, these are the people who are aware of the solution, understand its value, and are likely in the final stages of purchasing or in a purchase decision. Essentially, they know they need a service, and your job is to ensure that they choose you over their competitors. So selling demand capture services is a lot easier because the audience already understands that they need it. They've identified the problem. They're actively seeking a solution. And the key is succeeding with demand capture offers is positioning. Your offer should clearly communicate why you're the best choice for your prospects who know what they want, right? Price, social proof, and ease of use becomes extremely important factors, especially, because they're looking for this. It's just very common sense. Examples are like web design, IT support, or insurance. If they want it, they need it, In these cases, prospects are evaluating various options, so your strategy should focus on standing out and using those unique selling points to make sure that you are the best solution for them. All right, so a demand generation offer, on the other hand, is designed to create interest or demand where it didn't previously exist. Now, these prospects aren't necessarily looking for the service, so your marketing needs to be focused on educating them on why they should want what you're offering. Demand generation is typically harder to sell, but often comes with a higher price tag because you're building awareness and desire from scratch. So I know some of the examples like cold calling, cold email, Facebook, Google, TikTok ads, any of that sort is people aren't necessarily actively looking for it. Like someone doesn't wake up one day and consider like, man, I need a cold caller or I need to do cold email. However, if you teach them about it, let's say 5,000 free leads, get them in the door, prove that you know what you're doing, then you could go ahead and try to see if they're interested in what you need, right? Because effectively, if they're looking for leads, then it just makes sense, right? You want to kind of tie that together on what you're going to offer free. If they're looking for this, then they most likely will be interested in this. I even talked to people who were interested in just leads, and they're like, hey, do you have a way to contact these people? And I'm like, well, of course, because logically, think about it. If I give you 5,000 free leads, that's a lot of leads. How are you going to contact them all? Cold email. That's your solution. Boom, I do cold email also, and it all just ties together. If you're selling a demand capture offer using a demand generation mechanism like cold email, then you're going to need to do one of these three things to succeed, right? If you're trying to sell a demand capture like the web design, IT support, insurance with a demand capture offer, then you're going to have one of these three things, right? You're going to either have to have a very high volume outreach, you have to position your offer extremely uniquely, or outreach to prospects using demand capture indicators, and then you could go ahead and effectively match the two together and be able to successfully book calls and run good campaigns. Now, with testing different offers and call to actions, not all prospects respond to the same call to action, so it's essential to test different variations depending on your industry and target audience. You may need to experiment with softer or more direct CTAs to figure out what's working, right? So some examples would include, like, I would ask, like, would you be open to a quick 15-minute chat? Can I send over a few ideas to improve your current outreach strategy? Or could I send over a few ideas on how you can improve your ads? Would this be of interest to you? Worth a quick chat? May I send you a demo? Can I show you an example, right? These are all different types of call to actions. But you can see it ranges from, would you be open to a quick 15-minute chat? This is a little bit of a higher commitment call to action, but feels a lot easier to say yes to compared to schedule a call with me, right? That's like daunting, schedule a call with me. Can I send over a few ideas to improve your outreach strategy, right? This adds value right away without pushing a hard sell, making sure your prospect engages. Would this be of interest to you? You're just testing to see, focusing on that result, keeping it light, and asking if would you want something like this? Could I send a demo as a more direct approach? However, and it's ideal for prospects who are close to making a decision or want to see how something works. That is totally doable. Now, you want to rotate and test call to actions to understand which resonates best with your audience, whether you're using a soft invite for a conversation, more direct like book a call approach. Effectively, you're finding your call to actions will yield the best results. Now, a lot of people try to go for the one-shot bang, would say, if you're of interest, say yes. We'll book a call. We'll talk. You also can have a conversation with people. I've emailed people back and forth 10, 15 times, and I had a conversation, and then they ended up booking the call, right? A lot of people, you can't just give up after one or two if they don't say yes to a call. You got to work your way around it. And especially business owners, people are busy, You're just one email in an inbox and they forget about it, it's over. So actually reminding them, is not a bad thing at all. We're going to go over a little bit of a couple different strategies that we use to go ahead and effectively book these calls as call to actions. Now, one thing I did forget to mention earlier is, let's say, would this be of interest to you, right? Worked. You could test different variations of that. Actually, more of a better example, can I send a demo, right? If that worked the best out of these four, then you could create a new campaign saying, may I send a demo to you? May I show you an example? May I explain to you how it all works? And you could test variations of the softer call to action. Now, for those who aren't aware, Loom strategy is all about using a short video to make your outreach seem more personal instead of sending just this plain text email. So you record a quick video. It doesn't actually have to be Loom. You could use a different similar recording platform. That's just kind of what it's referred to as, where you introduce yourself and explain how you can help the prospect. Why this works, where I actually kind of like it compared to some people, is because it adds a personal touch, right? They actually see your face, they hear your voice, and they can make a connection to you. You also can mention specific things about your business, making it clear that you've done your homework and you're not just a generic email who did no research and just sent you the same video that he sends everybody else who asks for more information. You keep it short and engaging, under 90 seconds if you can, and that's where you invite them to to get on a call with you, because people are more likely to watch that video than read a super duper long email. And you could go more than 90 seconds if you have to actually explain something. You just be like, hey, my name is Alex. Real quick, I just want to introduce myself. I saw you guys on Clutch, and I just thought I'd reach out and essentially tell you how we are getting more booked sales calls for B2B service-based businesses with cold outreach. Essentially, what we do is blah, blah, blah. Just give a quickly 60-second rundown, because people aren't going to sit here for minutes staring at their phone. Now, Loom lets you know when somebody watches the video, so you can follow up at the right time, right after they finish watching it. So an example, right, it'd be like, hey, name, I made a quick video to show how we help B2B service-based businesses generate leads on autopilot, where all you have to do is take the sales call. Would it be okay if I sent it over? Right. Now, direct call strategy. The direct-to-call strategy is about cutting through the back and forth and getting straight to a conversation on the phone. If your outreach, you suggest scheduling a quick call to discuss how you can help them, it's best used when your offer is clear, simple, and the prospect is the decision maker. And why this can work is, again, it cuts out that emailing back and forth, and it gets them right on the Zoom call, Google Meet, and you can remove that friction of conversation between the emails. It also helps you build trust quickly, because you're not just written words on the screen. They actually get to meet you, and you could actually conversate back and forth. And again, it's effective for both parties. It saves everyone time, especially explaining things and showing things. And whatever, if you offer a free lead magnet, it's a lot better to build it on the call. And if they have questions, then you could just answer it immediately. Now, an example script, like, hey, name, we developed an AI employee that can answer all of your inbound and outbound calls while completing tasks such as transferring calls, booking appointments, and more. Company name could benefit from this offer less than a phone bill. Would this be of interest to you, right? That's a super direct to call action. Just saying, would this be of interest to you? They'll say yes, but great. If you have 10 to 15 minutes, I'd love to explain it all to you. Would Monday or Tuesday work better for you? And then boom, 2 emails, and then you have a booked meeting. All right, now going over something we briefly just touched upon before is that lead magnet strategy. Lead magnet strategy focuses on offering something tangible and valuable upfront, like a free resource, tool, or even service, right? Like a resource tailored to them. A tool is like a free trial for your AI or whatnot, or even you setting up a system for them that your prospect can immediately benefit from. And this is a great way to build trust while capturing their interest to have a conversation. Now, why it works is because, again, tangible value. It's actually touchable. It works. You're not offering, free $500 of your time. And again, you're not offering a generic ebook or something like that. You're giving something real and useful like 1,000 free leads, setting up a cold email system, or offering a free trial, right? Low commitment, the prospect can engage with something that benefits them immediately, allowing to build trust, and then it also builds momentum, right? You offer this free lead magnet so you could get on a call, and when you get on, you could do that. You could utilize the demand generation and be able to say, hey, listen, we also do this. Would you be in the ballpark for something like this? And they'll say yes or no. Now, example would be like, hey, I was wondering if it'd be okay if I built a list of 1,000 free leads based on your ideal customer profile for you to use in your outreach, all with no strings attached. Would it be okay for me to pass it over, right? Similar to that example I believe I showed up here. That's it. That's literally the whole email. It's straight to the point, and if they say yes, they need leads, tailor to your type of service, right? Would it be okay if I built out 5 free ad creatives for you based on your last campaign? Whatever it may be. Now, by offering something concrete and valuable, again, it's making the decision to say yes easily and immediately giving them a reason to engage with you. On top of it, it adds a little bit of what am I missing out on if I don't say yes to this? And everything we just covered is generally the right approach to creating an offer most of the time. But again, as everything with marketing, as I've been saying, there's no hard or set or fast rules. There's rarely even a right or wrong approach. There is always exceptions. Situations where we just discussed may not apply. May apply, for instance, if you're targeting industries like pharmaceuticals, larger law firms, or enterprise level tech companies, the strategies might need adjusting. Executives in those sectors aren't really concerned about how much you cost, if you got to think about it from their point of view. Like, they don't care about a $5,000 fee. They can sign a $100K check and give it to you and don't even care. They just care about if you could deliver the results that they're expecting you to deliver. And in some cases, it's not just about having an irresistible offer. You come in with substantial social proof to earn their trust and back up your offer and claim. Because it is true, there is some offers that are too good to be true. And one thing people don't get is that, when they sound so good, they're just simply unbelievable. And that's a problem. When something sounds too perfect, it triggers a lot of skepticism and your outreach becomes ineffective. Like, picture this email, if you got this. If I could get you 100 qualified leads by next week or you don't pay, would you be interested? It sounds great, right? Like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I'd say yes to that. But at the same time, like, 100 qualified leads? That sounds insane, But the idea is that someone can magically generate 100 leads in a week that are qualified. It's kind of hard to swallow. And it sounds almost like a scam, and most people would dismiss it immediately, even if it is legit. Now, there are rare cases where companies can deliver results like this, but even then, they don't get the traction that they deserve because people just don't trust it. And if this sounds like your situation, you have 2 options from this point. You can flood the prospect with incredible amount of social proof, making it impossible for them to deny your credibility. Or if you don't have enough social proof, just adjust the offer so it's still valuable, so it doesn't seem like too good to be true. I don't know if you noticed, but halfway through this, we kind of stepped down the free emails, right? I think I said 5,000 at some point here. Yeah, look, a 5K free lead list, 5K decision makers, and now we're down here talking about 1K, right? Because even some people think that 5,000 was kind of gassing it. It was too much. And even a fantastic offer can fail in a saturated market. It's just true. You could be the best type of service for somebody, and if it's in the wrong market, then it doesn't matter. So think of this. Hey, first name, if I can increase your current sales by 30% over the next 30 days or you don't pay, just like I did for case study 1, 2, and 3. Would you be open to discussing this? Sounds like an irresistible offer, right? Sounds very interesting. But in the industries like SaaS, where the competition is fierce and crazy, this wouldn't even stand out. And because they get bombarded with similar pitches like this all the time, the offer's good, but it just blends into the noise, all the emails, and they're just too desensitized to give it attention. Now, does this mean you can't succeed? Of course not. It's just much harder to break through the clutter. And if you're a lead generation agency, right, targeting these oversaturated markets, it's just not going to be worth it. Because you could send 10,000 emails and get 1 to 2 clients, or alternatively, you can go after a completely different industry and with the same 10,000 emails, book 20 calls. Or sorry, I meant 1 to 2 calls before. So it all depends on that offer and the niche you're going after. Conversation-focused script writing. So when writing cold emails, a major mistake many people make is finishing the script first and then adding your call to action at the end. This is completely the wrong way to do it. The most effective cold email scripts are built around your call to action. Everything is built around the call to action, and every word should lead them to saying yes to that decision. Whether it's getting a reply, whether it's just booking a demo or requesting more information, the script should naturally guide them to want to say yes. So we're going to go over a bunch of different script angles. First one up is one that I always incorporate in all my campaigns is the poke the bear angle. And this digs deep into the prospect's current pain points, encouraging them to reflect on how your service could improve their situation. It kind of gets them thinking, and it makes them ask questions. So instead of saying, like, how do you manage your leads, ask them, like, what's your approach to make sure your hottest leads aren't left waiting while juggling everything else, right? Let's say if it's a realtor or something they pay leads for. And this approach gets your prospect thinking critically about their current system and how you can help them optimize it, right? Going back to that employee, we had something where it called abandoned cart recovery for like e-commerce brands. So if you left your cart, the AI would call them and get you to like purchase, in the very like short story of it. So essentially, we said, what is company name doing to recover abandoned carts? You know, got a couple of Klaviyo ones, we're not doing anything right now, and then you could go on from there. Now, another one is problem sniffing. Now, this angle relies on using data or insights either from AI tools, scrape data from different platforms, or anything of that sort to identify an issue that the prospect might not even be aware about, bringing this to light positions as you would as a problem solver. So, for example, if you were on Amazon and you're scraped a bunch of reviews and they had a bad review, you could say, hey, I noticed a company's page on Amazon are ranking well, but it seems to be a dip in customer reviews over the last quarter. It reminds me of a similar trend we saw with a competitor before we helped them turn things around by tweaking their post-purchase engagement. We increased our review rate by 25%, which led to a nice bump in conversions. Would it be okay if I shared how we fixed it for them? That example is beautiful. Beautiful example, because first of all, use that AI tool kind of information to detect a dip in reviews over the last quarter. Case study right here, we saw a similar trend with competitor before we helped them turn things around by tweaking their post-purchase engagement. So you help somebody, this is the reason why, and you on top of that, you increase your review rate by 25%. With a soft call to action of would it be okay if I shared how we fixed it for them? And by addressing this clear problem, you provide immediate value and offer a solution based on data and showing you that you did your homework and research on them. Again, making your cold email seem like it's not even a cold email. Now, you also have a hyper-relevant case study. This approach leverages a case study from a company similar to your prospect, showcasing your expertise and proven results in their field. So for example, if we helped company X, let's say a manufacturing firm, save 30% on production costs using advanced supply chain optimization. I know I just gas it off the top of my head. But we can approach company Y, another manufacturing firm, and showcase our success with company X to demonstrate we understand their industry and bring the same benefits. For example, you could tailor this to, let's say, a funky strategy name. You have like, we help company X, which is like a known manufacturing firm, save 30% on production costs using Supply X Drive, which fully automated their loading time. Let's say it's one of those AIs that or robots that pick up the crates and move it onto the truck already. And you could just say, using our Growth X companion, can I show you a video on how it works? So instead of these vague claims, you're using a tailored, reliable case study to prove your capability, making your outreach more trustworthy and impactful. And I want to tell you guys, I don't think I mentioned here, I want to tell you guys one thing really quickly about case studies though. Only use case studies if they're one of these two things. The prospect is really well known or you got insane results. Because that's one thing that I see people mistake make that mistake is I get a bunch of cold emails saying, they got these crazy or these good results for, Joe Schmo Company or Tom, Joe, and Harry, I don't know anything about them. I don't care about them, But let's say one of my friends, who does like something similar, got on a sales call with BMW. Sales call at BMW. That's just, everyone knows BMW, So it just makes sense because it's a well-known one, or the result was just so great that you can leverage it. Now, the lead magnet angle, we've been talking about this a bunch today. Offer something a tangible, obvious value, create trust. Again, I'm not going to go through it again, but like, hey, first name, would it be useful if I sent over a detailed analysis of your company's operation to identify cost-saving opportunities? No catch, just hoping to provide some value, right? It's a powerful way to establish your credibility and get that engagement going. You also can hit them with the opportunity cost. In this angle, you show your prospects what they're missing out on by not using your service. And the goal is to highlight that gap in between their current strategy and how you could fill it. So, hey, first name, you might be leaving about 15% of potential sales on the table due to insufficiencies in your sales funnel. Would it make more sense to explore how we can recover those lost opportunities? Here, you're making them aware of that opportunity they're missing out on, prompting them to take action. I mean, now that I look back at this, I would probably, this is like very, very broad. But, if you were to personalize this a little bit, hey, you might be leaving about 15% of potential sales on the table due to your Salesforce opportunities not being automated. Would it make sense to explore how we can, something along those lines? Now, this is another interesting angle as well. The stars align. This is where everything kind of just falls into place, and then you could go ahead and launch a nuclear campaign targeting all those specific points. So this works when you reach out to the prospects at the right time, ensuring that the several key factors align. The challenge is to find the right moment that your prospect is being most effective. So we noticed your team just expanded into new markets and are hiring sales managers. Would you be open to discussing how we could boost your lead generation efforts with minimal ramp-up time? And the key is to find that multiple factors that make the timing impeccable, right? They just started expanding into new markets. They're hiring sales managers. And, you put all those together, then you could hit them with literally maximum relevance to what's happening in their company right now. Now, going back to the direct offer again, this one's straight to the point, asking for a direct response with clear and valuable offer. It's useful for validating demand for your service. So like, hey, first name, if I could help reduce your operational cost by 15% within the next 30 days, would you be open to a quick discussion? Or hey, first name, if I could generate 10 new sales leads for you by next week, would it be worth a chat? Right? Something of that sort. Might be a little bit gassing it, but again, direct, short, sweet, to the point, and give them a direct value proposition that they can't ignore. Now, Lead Magnet 2, this is a version of the first one. However, we're just going to throw value in here immediately, right? So this is where you're going to stand significantly out by giving them something useful right away and saying like, hey, first name, I've gone ahead and pulled 3 leads that match the exact criteria based on your previous clients. Contact information 1, 2, 3. If I could send 1,000 more, would that be, if that's something I can send over 1,000 more if that's something you're interested in. Sound good? Wow. That one actually makes me smile inside because you don't really see this too often. And by keeping your script focused with that desired call to action around using the right angles, you make it easier for prospects to take action. Again, depending on your niche, your offer, and the circumstances. Now, each example pushes them towards the next step, whether that's agreeing to the demo, asking for more information, or booking a meeting. And avoid tacking on a generic CTA, like all those spam emails that I read all the time. Big part that I see a lot of people always ask me to grade their scripts and look things over and ask me for coaching. And I just say, listen, keep it short, sweet, to the point. And we've been saying this the whole time to eliminate those unnecessary words. Keep your script. Oh, I did write short, sweet, to the point. See, I know myself. If a word or phrase doesn't push the prospect towards a response, you need to cut it. Again, think about, as I said before, every word should have a purpose. If it doesn't have a purpose, it doesn't need to be there. So the goal here is to communicate clearly and just get what you're trying to say across. Instead of jabbering with, we specialize in providing a wide range of solutions that are designed to optimize your outreach process. And I'm actually falling asleep while reading this. You simply just say, we help you book more calls with better prospects. It sounds way better. And I know, like, even from the outsider, if you're newer to this, it looks crazy. Like, okay, but that sounds like so simple. But that's the point. Focus on making every sentence count. The simpler, the better. I listened to a video about a week ago, as I was talking about earlier. A smart person admires simplicity, a dumb person admires complexity. We're all business owners and busy people. Remove the fluff and make it clear on what you do. Because I'd actually be surprised the amount of times I've seen some emails and I'm just simply like, wait, what's the offer here? Like, what do you, if they don't know within 2 seconds on what you're offering or what you're asking for, then there's something wrong. Sell the result, not the service. Your prospects don't care about the features of your service and all the things they do. They care about what it does, what it can do for them. Frame your offer around the results that you can help them achieve. Again, don't say, we manage your entire cold email system, get the leads, write scripts, create campaigns. Say, we help you consistently book 20 plus sales meetings a month through targeted cold email. That sounds 30 times better. And this focuses on tangible outcomes instead of the prospects. And this will grab your prospect's attention and make them more likely to engage. You also want to make it easy to say yes. I've actually read some scripts that have just made it so hard to actually, like, on top of understanding, even say yes to what they were asking me. Our call to action should feel effortlessly. Don't make it a large upfront commitment like a 30-minute, 1-hour meeting. That is so over the top. Like, don't even mention that. Again, like, would you be open to discussing this? Same thing. You could still book a meeting, but again, just wording it like that will instantly just decrease all your chances of trying to make the best results happen. I mean, don't get me wrong, it could do good, but again, would you rather have a soft commit or a hard commit? Can I send you a video of me explaining? Mind if I show you an example? These micro commitments make it way easier for them to say yes, just lowering the barrier to entry. Don't make it harder for yourself, literally. Now, how to not write cold emails? There have been so many common mistakes I've seen with my eyes, and they will kill your emails. Now, talking about yourself too much, your prospect does not care about your life story. They care about how you could solve their problem. Focus on them, not you. I've seen a lot of people do sales calls as well, where, they kind of start off and just start talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And I know that because I used to do the same thing. Until I changed my sales process this year. And that's when I realized I want to focus everything about the prospect again. They don't care about me. They don't care about my backstory. They don't care about what I do. They care about what I could do for them and what results I could get them. And that's about it. Now, irrelevant impersonation needs to go. Again, I mean, I'm sure at this point in this video, you guys are not doing this, but I know there's definitely some things out there like mentioning their college or city just for the sake of personalization and connecting. If it doesn't directly, if it's not directly relevant to your offer, it's just noise. Overcomplicated CTA, as I said. Don't ask for the 30-minute meeting in the first email. It's too much too soon. Again, I see a beautiful girl on the side of the road. I'm not going to say, will you marry me? Like, same thing with cold email. Don't get on a call with me for 30 minutes off the bat. Again, you can position it way differently, but just don't come off the bat like that. Try something low commitment like permission to send a case study or more information. Long rambling emails. Nobody has time for an inbox essay. Get to the point quickly and keep it short. If they ask you to send something detailed, then perhaps. But for a cold email, you're technically like intruding their day. They open up their inbox, see an email from Alexander ? Oh, what can this be? First 2 emails, don't care. If they could visibly see that the cold email is short, they're more likely to read to the end. Do not add fancy formatting and images. Stick to plain text. HTML, images, fancy signatures can absolutely hurt your deliverability, which we'll talk about more in the deliverability section, and make you look like spam. But your cold email should feel natural, like a conversation. Shouldn't have any fancy formatting or any of that as a cold email. Now, moving on to the next step here, we got deliverability. huge changes have came up recently, and this is something that we're going to discuss, all the different things that come into play. When it comes to cold email, deliverability is everything. If your cold emails aren't hitting the inbox, then it doesn't matter how great your offer is. And this is the one thing that we value the most aside from list creation. Maintaining deliverability isn't hard, you just got to follow a few simple rules. Your DNS records. First things first. They're like the ID card of your email domain, and setting them up properly is literally the very first step to getting your emails to the inbox rather than spam, right? By adding SPF records, this allows you to determine that your servers are permitted to send emails on behalf of your domain. DKIM records adds like a cryptographic signature, making sure that it wasn't altered during your deliverability. DMARC helps protect your domain from being spoofed, and it also works with SPF, and DKIM and provides guidelines for handling failed authentication attempts. And these are small little things, but they do really make a difference. And just a tip, if you guys haven't used this before, there's tools like MX Toolbox that can help verify that your DNS records are set up correctly and your emails are less likely to get flagged. Same thing with Email Guard, they can do that as well if you upload domains in there. Now, beautiful thing about this is most private email providers and resellers will automatically set these records up for you. But if you go straight to Google and Microsoft, then you'll have to add these records in yourself. Now, another thing that may affect your domain is your domain register. Where you register your domain can impact your email performance. So you're going to want to stick to the good ones. We use Porkbun majority. Cloudflare is also a really great choice. Porkbun is just very easy to set up. DNS records are super easy to configure, and pricing is actually very good. And the user face is beyond simple. So it's what we use to deal with when it comes to cold email. Avoid the cheap and unreliable registers. Again, I want you guys to understand this is like literally the same thing in everything in life. Don't get me wrong. I very am huge into accounting, into budgeting, and making sure things work. But again, when it comes to going cheap, buy cheap, get cheap. You know the saying. It's like this one simple example, shoes. You buy cheap shoes, you have to replace it every 2.5 years for like, let's say $60. But if you buy the good pair for $90 or $100, then you're going to save money in the long run. It's the same concept. And why it matters, because even larger, well-known registers like GoDaddy can also be known to have spammy domains in their infrastructure. And that can also impact the reputation of other domains on their platform. And this can cause deliverability issues right from the start, and you don't want to have to deal with that problem. Plus, GoDaddy is a pain in the headache. I had the worst experience with them, so that's just me though. So choosing a registrar and a clean reputation helps ensure your domains don't get a bad rep from the get-go. There's a little link to Porkbun here. You could check it out, and it's extremely simple to use. Don't buy email accounts straight from registers. You'll see like GoDaddy has Microsoft packages, or Porkbun has email accounts that you can hook up. Keep your domain and email accounts separate. Why? Because again, stronger infrastructure. When you really deal with Google Workspace and Microsoft directly, they're way more reliable, and the advanced infrastructure to ensure your email accounts are inboxes effectively. Avoid deliverability issues. Register-based email servers often share resources with spammers, and that can also help lead your emails to being flagged as spam. And they're trusted by servers, so email services like Google, Microsoft are widely trusted on servers. So once you start like commingling the two, then you get a lot of stuff involved that it's just, trust me, the headache is a lot easier to keep them separate and to avoid having that issue between the two. Now, spam words, right? Certain words can trigger spam filters. There's a little link here to Mail Meteor. It's actually pretty cool, and it'll tell you what words aren't so good for your outreach. So again, this is very like no-brainer. Stuff like free, guarantee, limited time offer, money back, buy now can be red flags for triggers. Even guarantee. Again, these are not killer, but you just want to have like the least amount of this. Like, for example, I use free sometimes in my outreach. Never like put me to death and never like screwed up any of my campaigns. But again, when you start adding free, stop adding money back guarantees, start adding all this stuff, it's going to be seriously a problem. So you want to try to limit that to the best you can. Even sales phrases as well, like act now, click here, it can be flagged. You could use Mailometer here to check It's actually pretty cool. I'll show you. This is like an example. See, counts as urgency. Please answer ASAP. Shady, shady, shady. Overpromise, unnatural. See if I can type free. Ads is shady. And you can just copy and paste your script in there. Now, HTML content. Plain text emails will always have better deliverability. No links, including unsubscribe links. Yes, even unsubscribe links can tank your deliverability because it's just, hello, that's cold email. And for the reference points for if you really want to have that first safe mind, you can go ahead and add, like, if you're not interested, just let me know, right? Just some text for people don't, like, essentially freak out. If you need to have that. Now, no images. Do not add logos, product images, or any different type of, like, videos or any of that, because that can be pretty bad. I've been testing this. I haven't really confirmed whether it actually is 100% foolproof or not. Pasting links and then removing the linkage and adding it as text. For example, like sending over Loom videos or MP3s. I haven't seen any major issues with that, but again, I don't have a guarantee on that, so I don't want to tell you guys wrong news. No HTML styling format. Keep your emails free to fancy formatting. And under that, I'll tell you one thing that people don't really know about is open rates. When you add an open rate tracker, it adds a 1x1 pixel on your screen, and that falls under this HTML category. So you can turn that off for better deliverability. Spin tags. Now, spin tags is a method of adding variations to your email content to improve deliverability and reduces chances of your email being flagged as spam. This stands for spinning syntax, and that rotates different subject lines, body content, and signatures to create millions of unique variations of the same message, so it doesn't look like it's the same message at all, essentially, or like exactly the same word for word. So just to show you guys the example here, this is probably a better way of explaining it, is the more variations, the better your deliverability. If your subject line never changes, it could look suspicious to email filters. So this is an example of no spin tags. Hey, first name, right? That's a common example we've been using throughout here. Now here's an example of good deliverability is by having a subject line like this. Hey, first name, quick question, first name, got a minute? And these are in a bracket. So when you go ahead and do your outreach, you'll go ahead and, optimize it to, let's say, 30% get this one, 30% get this, or 33% get this one, 33% and so on. Now, when you spin packs the email body, it all adds up, right? So if you have hi, hey, hello, then I noticed and came to attention, that's like 1, 2, 3 times 2, then you got 10 right there. And then the more you add on, the more it grows. So this is example of no spin tags. Hey, first name, I noticed you're director of marketing at company name and wanted to see if we could help increase your revenue by 40% in 90 days. Would you be open to discussing this further? Here's the exact same message spin taxed. I noticed it came to my attention. You're director of marketing, you're handling at company name, and I wanted to see, was curious if we could help improve your revenue, increase your revenue by 40% in 90 days. Would you be open to discussing, or does this sound like something worth discussing further? It's very simple, but now you have 120 different variations. So if you send 120 emails, each one of them would be a different combination of these different words and words. Spin taxing signatures. So you can also even spin tax your signature for better deliverability. Now let's say you are like a loan, let's say you're the loan sender on your account, because if you have 2 different people on the email accounts, then you would put this in your copy, so you can't really spin tax, so that's kind of a no-go. But if you're the only sender, then this is great because you can also add additional, like best regards, kindest regards, sincerely, Alexander Woung, a Alex W, a Woung, founder of Dulce, founder at Dulce, Dulce. Then instead of here, what you would do is you would just replace this with %sender-name %, at least on Smartlead, and that's where you can still actually spin tax, the top and bottom part, but the middle part you would have to add in that sender name. And by spin taxing everything, you ensure that no 2 emails look exactly the same, which help avoid spam filters. Now, health scores. I want to briefly talk about this. This essentially is monitoring your email accounts health score is important for ensuring good deliverability, but it's not always the most accurate measure. I'm sure you've seen on Smartlead where it goes you like little inbox reputation score. They give you kind of like an idea how they're performing, but they don't tell you the full story. So just to keep simple key factors that go based off this, is having a low bounce rate. That is pretty much one of the most important ones that determine that. Spam complaints, every time someone marks your email as spam, it will hurt your score. So you want to try to make sure your copy is as least spammy as possible. And daily sending too much too soon or too much per day can get you flagged instantly. However, from our experience, as I just said, health scores aren't always 100% accurate. So that's why we began doing those inbox placement tests, which I'm going to talk about in the next section. And these are essentially to truly know if your emails are landing where they should. For email tracking health, we recommend using Email Guard. They give the best insights on your performance. You can learn more at their site. There's also a link to it here below. Now, let me show you what inbox placement test does. So, if you want to know if your emails are actually hitting the inbox, you need a test. For inbox placement testing, Email Guard gives you a direct and reliable way to see where they actually are landing. So unlike the generic health scores that can be inaccurate or misleading, this test shows you real results based on actual email sending using your live campaigns. That's the difference with Email Guard. Why I keep talking about it is because with the inbox placement test, it makes real campaigns to test your results. And that's why it's the only way to test your inbox placement test, because some people, what they do is, they log into the email account and send emails from the account, but it's not the same as from sending from your platform. And this test is sent using Smartlead with your actual real email copy. It hits both Google and Outlook inboxes, which are critical for deliverability. And you get accurate feedback on whether they actually will land in there, hit spam, or the promotions. Now, instead of just relying on email score health alone that don't give the full picture, we found that the inbox placement test is the most effective way at this very moment to learn if you're actually reaching your prospects. And when we run our deliverability through our Lead Academy and Email Guard integration tool, we replace any accounts that had under a 60% score. So I'll show you guys like an example here. You'll see like Lead Academy test. Like I'll go in here and I'll create all these campaigns with 8 emails each for each one of your email accounts. Then the test results will come back something like this, right? It'll say status successfully completed, started at 2 minutes ago, completed 8 seconds ago, right? Test score 100%, right? They all inbox on Google and Microsoft. And it's a little link directly to that below. But for example, if this is half and half, you'll have, let's say, all of Google say spam and Microsoft say Outlook. Microsoft says inbox, then your test score will be 50. And essentially it's just division. So let's say 3 of the Googles hit spam, your score will be 8 or 5 out of 8, whatever that fraction comes out to. Now your email sending tool also matters. Now we just found this on that big test, which I told you is going to be in the description down below. Will impact your deliverability, especially when sending your cold emails. And this is what we learned from these two tools. So they have their own OAuth address to send emails through services like Google and Outlook, right? Meaning you're technically sending through their infrastructure. And the downside is the emails providers can kind of associate these OAuth connections with cold email platforms. Once identified, your emails may be treated as part of mass outreach campaigns, which can significantly hurt your deliverability. Now, dealing with the warm-up pools is many people try warming up their email accounts before sending out cold emails to build credibility. But we've noticed a big issue here. After running 6 independent tests, we found that email accounts with warm-up perform 250% worse than those without any warm-up at all, right? So essentially, I don't know why I wrote it backwards, but if you didn't use warm-up, you performed 2.5x better. Sending emails straight away from brand new accounts starting out with 5 a day from day one had much better results. And this is why we're no longer going to be recommend using warm-up. Now, exploring alternatives, a little sneak peek if you made it to this far, we're going through a new private email sending platform called Email Bison. And this tool lets you create your own email server. So this way, when you send your emails, you won't be tied to Instantly or Smartlead's OAuth. You'll be making your campaigns more private and reducing the likelihood of being flagged as part of a cold email platform. And just again, a sneak peek, we see results from this tool performing 10% better. We had a 97% inbox test score for Email Bison and 87% for Smartlead. So your tool does matter. Blacklists. Getting blacklists can significantly hurt your deliverability. However, a lot of people really freak out about this, especially in Smartlead. It has that little warning sign. It'll say blacklist, but only a few blacklists actually matter. And the main one is SORBs. SORBs is that one you got to watch out for. And if you're on there, then you need to get a new account. I'll just say that. Why does it happen? It's because, your domain or the IP can get blacklisted for several reasons, whether it's a newer domain, sending emails too quickly, or sending non-verified lists, or getting too many spam reports. It could be any one of those different type of combinations. How to stay off the backlist? It's just simple. Just, keep your volume controlled, target the right people, and just do all the right tools. You can utilize Email Guard or MX Toolbox again to check if you're on one. Account IP addresses. As we went over way back at the start with the reseller accounts, the location of your IP accounts can significantly impact how email providers perceive and handle your emails. US and European IPs, email providers like Google and Microsoft typically view IP addresses from regions such as US or Europe as way more credible, especially, emails from or IPs from Europe. They have much tougher regulations, and this is why email IP addresses from those higher risk regions like the India or Southwest or Southeast Asia may face more scrutiny due to the higher prevalence of spam activity associated with those locations. And this can lead to your actual legitimate emails being flagged as spam, even though you didn't do too much wrong yet. A lot of agencies tend to go that route because the cost is so much cheaper. Just, we advise against it, right? We've never done it, never will. And it's just simply not worth the risk. Now, your account providers also play a factor, going way back to the first thing we talked about, private versus public infrastructure. The private infrastructure will be cheaper, have lower deliverability, but it's just not worth it at the end of the day. We've seen a significant drop. They used to be really good, but they fell off super fast, and again, just not worth it. Now, public infrastructure like Google and Microsoft are more expensive, but they're far more reliable, and I'll take them hand over fist any single day of the week. And their reputation will help keep you alive and protect you from somebody simply just saying, I'm going to shut off your business today. So that's that. Now, next up, we are going to be talking about booking calls and handling objections. When you're managing replies and handling objections, having a process or SOP in place can help maintain control and efficiency, especially when you're doing it at such a large scale. Now, here are some strategies to book more calls and to navigate objections effectively, right? Newer appointment rules: never ask an open-ended availability question like, when can you chat, right? Instead, you're going to want to offer specific time slots, and this is utilizing a sales tactic called the alternate advance, right? It would sound something like, would Tuesday at 10 a.m. work, or Wednesday at 2 p.m. be better for you? Make it easier for the prospect to make a decision quickly. And it essentially utilizes that never ask a say no question. Every question you ask should lead your prospect in the direction you want them to take. Now, never send scheduling links. Now, I'll put a little asterisk on this actually, because sometimes some people just refuse, like, no, can you just send me it? And you don't want to really burn a prospect just because he doesn't want to play the back and forth game. But what I normally mean by this is, when someone says they're interested, don't just send them the link to the Calendly, right? Try your best to book them themselves. And if they say, send me your Calendly link or send me your calendar link, then that part is not a problem to send over. Again, if they want to pick a time, then that's totally fine. Sending a link to the call in your first outreach can feel very impersonal. It can also hurt your deliverability because of a link, especially if you're doing it at scale. And this lowers your chances of booking them in, because when you send a link, it adds that extra step that the prospect needs to take, again, unless they ask for it. Instead, suggest some times first, and if they agree, book them in yourself. A lot of people get confused about this stuff, but yes, you can book them in yourself. And this adds a personal touch and easy for them to commit to the call, especially if you have a sales process set up with reminders and everything, so it actually doesn't matter whether they do it themselves. Now, something we have done for ourselves and our clients, which have significantly helped, is building objection sheets. And You'll see similar questions being asked the more you run an offer. Having a document or a Google Sheet or either one with common objections can help you answer the most commonly asked questions that come on a daily basis. So focus on usual responses when people ask, like, send more info about a service or a product. What's the price? How do you verify the leads? And stuff like that. You'll get those industry specific questions. And, at first you'll be like, how do I answer this? Let me ask my client. Or let me research it. Then you'll get the answer. Then you could kind of jot that down. Like, okay, if anybody asks this question again, this is the answer. Or if somebody keeps asking a question, like, okay, this is a question that a lot of people keep asking me. So for each, just craft a clear and concise response that not only addresses the concerns, but also shifts the conversation back to the value you provide. A lot of people get hung up on this. Objections aren't bad. Objections are never bad. They show that they're interested and they just want to learn more and get more information. Because a lot of people will be like, oh my God, this guy's asking me a ton of things. And that's good, It shows that they mean business, or they wouldn't just be wasting your time asking you a ton of questions. Now, don't get me wrong, there's like that 1% of people that will do that, but for the most time, it's a good thing. Utilizing virtual assistants. A VA can be an essential part of managing daily tasks and keeping your operation smooth, especially for a client worker handling repetitive tasks like outreach. Once you get to that threshold where you have 5, 10 plus or so clients, having a virtual assistant who can manage and be a part of your team is incredibly helpful, especially when you have the proper SOPs in place and teach them, and they'll be off the ball rolling. And they can assist with anything you need, whether it's like managing project, handling cold calling like an SDR, communicating with clients, manual outreach, as I said. I don't know, I guess communicating with clients I meant. Inbox managing, or any specific task you assign, right? To get the most out of your VA, you have to have clear instructions and solid SOPs in place. And many of them are really skilled. And especially when you have that kind of gap in their pricing and your pricing, it makes it affordable and good cost to do that. Because, again, that value in the dollar and their currency or whatever it may be, a couple dollars to us might be a lot for them. So you can actually, even hire these people full time and provide them like a good salary, let's say like $500 a week or anything of that ballpark. Again, depending on the location and different criteria, but you can give them, sustainable family living and make sure that they're getting by while essentially getting all the work done for you and being skilled to have that position. Now, there's definitely sites like onlinejobs.ph, which is great for finding VAs, particularly from the Philippines. There's effectively ways that you can hire. So, for example, how we went about it was, clearly state the role that you're looking for, exactly what you want, like VA for inbox managing, cold email. Type of employment to decide if you need it project-based, full-time, part-time. Outline their task and make sure it's detailed, right? This is almost like similar to like ChatGPT, right? You want to treat it like you're explaining all the different steps to make sure that you want exactly what you want to get done or what the job needs as the criteria. Set the monthly compensation, what they're expected to get, and be clear about the workload and what you expect of them. Do you want them 9 to 5? Do you want them to complete a certain amount of tasks or hours, or so on? List the required skills like CRM management, communication, organization, and after posting, get on calls with these people and assess their communication skills, past experience, and compensation experiences. This will help you find the right person for the role. Listen, you're not going to hop on 3 calls with people and say like, all right, I think this guy's cool for the job. You really want to go in depth and interview these people and figure out who's going to be the best of the bunch. And once you find someone that kind of like fits your style and you think has the skills to get it done, then bring them on and, figure it out from there. And when building a productive team with the VA handling day-to-day tasks, you can focus on scaling your business effectively and more important things that need to get done. Just remember that the combination of these detailed SOPs and fair compensation is key to having a productive and efficient VA team. Okay? All right. General marketing concepts. Product market fit. Now, people ought to kind of throw this word around in cold outreach and marketing in general, but I'm going to tell you guys something straight up. Product market fit is the foundation of any successful marketing or cold email campaign. It simply means that your product or service is something that your target audience genuinely needs and wants. However, finding what real product market fit can take a lot of time, generally like years. It's not something that, you know, they're going to hire you and they're going to say, go find this product market fit and just figure it out in a few days or a couple campaigns. It requires consistent feedback, testing, and adapting to truly know if your offer solves a major pain point in the market. Now, when it comes to doing cold outreach, we're not going to here to discover true product market fit. We could find somewhere where your service kind of resonates with this type of group and kind of have like a mini product market fit, as I'll call it. So how do you know if you actually have it or not? Well, first is demand. Are people actively seeking solutions like yours, right? Think about, do they want what I'm offering? Can I help them? And do they want my help? Feedback. Have you received positive feedback from your initial clients, right? Let's say, you know, you launch a lead generation agency, do cold email to this type of niche, and they say, you know, we love it, you're doing great. Or let's say you do Facebook ad for HVAC companies. How are you doing for them? Hey, guys, do you feel like this is actually working for you? You know? Do customers keep using your product, or are they dropping off for a short time? What is your churn rate? If you have a high churn rate, let's say you're doing that Google ads for HVAC, and then, you know, you're churning, a client leaves every month or two, then that's not going to be a great fit. And a little example again, if you're selling a lead generation service, your product market fit is clear. If you target businesses who are struggling to find clients and your service is helping them solve this consistently, and without product market fit, no amount of cold outreach will get you sustained results because the market simply doesn't need what you're offering. You can't convince them of that. For example, you know, I always get like those random stupid cold calls saying, do I need like life insurance, health insurance? Like, that's not a good outreach method, you know? Message market fit. Now, once you have product market fit, the next step is ensuring that your message resonates with your audience. And this is something that we can do. So, message market fit refers to how well your messaging is, whether through cold emails, ads, or social media. Matches this expectation and needs of your target audience. So, some of the key points here are clear value proposition, right? Can you clearly articulate the benefit that your service does in one sentence? As I said, in 2 seconds, they should know exactly what you're offering and what you're going on about. Now, your relatability. Does your message address the specific pain points that your audience is facing? And tone. Is your tone aligned with your audience that you're speaking to, right? Casual for small startups or formal for larger corporations. Whether you're doing CEO of like a 5-person company or the marketing director of a 1,000-person company, you got to make sure that you're aligned and resonated. Even throw in all that marketing jargon and their industry jargon of that, you know, as I mentioned with the medical device companies and the IDNs, you know, speak their language. Show them that you know what you're talking about. Example, if you're offering cold email services to SaaS companies, saying, we help SaaS companies book 30 plus qualified calls in a month using cold email, is concise and clear message that hits their pain point. And again, that is very like repeated offer, but the point being is that it's clear that hits their pain point. If they need leads, you know, and you're a SaaS company, we help you book 34 calls a month using cold email. And the right message can essentially make or break a campaign. It's about finding the exact language and positioning that make your prospects say, this is exactly what I need. Market sophistication. So as I said before, market sophistication is about understanding how familiar prospects are with your offer and adjusting to your approach accordingly, right? Now, I know I didn't mention it directly, but indirectly speaking, this is what makes up your solution. This is where you're going to have that huge gap in offers of people, you know, who have this really niche down specific thing like an AI, a web scraper, or SEO. So there's levels of sophistication. One is a new solution. Your prospects have never heard of a solution like yours before. The messaging here should focus on introducing the concept and why it's beneficial. Now, there's also a second level of familiar with the solution where your competitors have started entering the market, and you'll need to show them how your service is unique or more effective than others. Now you enter the highly competitive market, and this is where your prospect has seen this offer so many times, and you need to differentiate yourself either with a stronger guarantee or with case studies or simply better pricing. Then you hit the floor at saturation. And this is where the market's completely flooded with similar offers, and stand out. You really need to rely on your personal brand authority and offer undeniable proof of success. For example, like SEO. That's why you talk to so many people of these like marketing agencies who work strictly on inbound only is because of something similar like this, because of saturation. You just got to be really, really good at it, get really good results, or leverage your personal brand if you have that big authority. And why market sophistication matters is because if you're too early or too late with your message, you're just simply going to miss the mark. Tailoring your approach to the market sophistication level ensures your outreach hits the right notes and doesn't come across as either too basic or too exaggerated for where the market is. If it's something newer, then you could definitely keep it very monotone and low key. Like, hey, listen, this is what we've developed. This is exactly what it does. Can this benefit you? In saturation, you're going to have to really come in hitting the nail, saying like, listen, if we could get you, or we can do this for you, and I want to give you this for free, may I pass that along, right? Just no strings attached. And understanding these three core concepts between product market fit, message market fit, and market sophistication is crucial to ensuring that your cold outreach is effective or efficient and impactful. Because bottom line is, if you're the one signing clients and talking to these different industries, knowing where they stand within this, it all ties together. Knowing where they stand within the market sophistication could help you kind of craft a message that goes together with their product. It's a 3-step sequence. Now, that's really it. If you're either watching this from a booked call or on my call booked page, I look forward to speaking with you, and I praise and commend you for making to the end of this video, and let me know if you made it to this end. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube or anything, if you have questions, feel free to leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer or respond. And if you want to discuss your outbound strategy with me, if you're a B2B service-based business and you're looking for a scalable, predictable outbound system, book a call with me down below in the description. I'll be more than happy to go over your current business, what you're doing, and how you can best fix things and essentially significantly improve your outreach from just minor tweaks and changes. Worst case scenario, you walk away with invaluable advice. Best case, we begin to fill your calendar with brand new sales opportunities. If you watched the whole video, let me know down below in the description. I'll hit you up, and yeah, I appreciate everyone. Hope you have a good night, and talk to you soon.